What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
The max amount you're supposed to do without dying, you do all day, is like 400.
Yeah.
Coffee all day, so that's like you're at the max right there with one.
I had a student tell me that he would take like 8 scoops of C4 before going to work out. I'm like, dude, that's like 1,000 milligrams of caffeine. He's like, yeah, I know. I'm like,
You don't
"How are
even
still
need that.
living?"
Yeah, it's hard
Literally
to
don't need
If
that.
I did that, I would be dead.
do that too. I accidentally drank a rain. I was drunk, and I woke up and drank coffee like normal. And my heart, I was like, oh my god.
I used to do a scoop and a half of Rise pre-workout, and that's 300 milligrams per scoop. And I would go and work out, and then I started feeling my heartbeat when I was in the middle of my workouts. I was like, yeah, I gotta get off this.
Are you alive or are you living?
That's just psycho shit. That's honestly just psycho shit. I took caffeine pills maybe for a month. I was like, I don't need this. I just felt uncomfortable.
Have you seen that video online? It's like, have you tried the new pre-workout? And then they say like Power X, and they're like, oh yeah, I heard that's some good shit. How is it? He's like, yeah, it's pretty good. Like once you get past feeling your heartbeat and the lightheadedness, you're good. He's like, oh yeah, but and he says something like, have you tried a chronic heart palpitation? Oh, I heard that one was good.
That's fun.
Dragonade.
Now we watch and wait.
It's good. Tastes good. Even though it says do it in 8 to 12 ounces of water, I put it in 40. Okay. Be better. I should take that motto.
That's you. That's gold, dude.
What a buffoon. Sammy Adams over there.
Obi-Wan
What if I
Kenobi.
just came in off the street and just pulled somebody.
We couldn't find Dom. So
We found a look-alike.
Walked down Delsey until we found someone that vaguely resembled him.
All right. Go in 10.
Did you just say Sammy Adams?
Yeah.
It's a rapper I haven't heard of in quite some time.
You know what? Because I randomly thought of Asher Roth today, so it made me randomly think of Sammy Adams.
The college rap era.
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the anniversary episode of Underground Sports Philadelphia. If you're watching live on Twitch, which you should be every Wednesday night, you're seeing what's going down. It's KB, it's Matt, it's Dom, and it's Dylan, live from Underground Studios for our 5-year anniversary special, and no better way for us to celebrate a company that was built on the foundation of the Eagles winning the Super Bowl and the Birds going back to the Super Bowl 5 years later. We're going to dive into everything Super Bowl related. We're going to get into the Underground Sports Philadelphia Hall of Fame, some potential nominees, and Sixers are playing the Celtics tonight. No better way to have a nice little show down there for the anniversary. But before we dive into the episode and celebrate 5 years on the internet, make sure you guys are following us at Underground PHI, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.com/Underground Sports PHI. You can follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Castorina. Follow Dom on Twitter at Wash Lifestyle. And follow Dylan at Dylan Mazzola. And make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We're there. Leave a 5-star rating and review. It helps the show continue to grow, gets us on the charts, gets more people in tap with Underground Sports Philadelphia. And, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's where you get full video episodes, live streams, every single podcast on our network in video form, and you can go check out the anniversary video that just dropped early this morning. We're at 377 subscribers. Let's get to 400 before the Super Bowl. Like, let's make that happen. I think it's very possible, and we're on that road to 1K as well. And big thank you to our sponsors who have made this show happen for essentially since day one. Main Auto LLC, Security 21 Security Systems, Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated, and the Dental Wellness Center of Vineland. We're back.
Hey,
Yo,
Hello.
what's up?
this was weird. I like it.
It's hard to believe that we used to cram in the little room over there for like 2 years.
There was 5 of us in that one.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Wait. Speaking of 5, where's Tyler?
So apparently the killers got hold of him. He's still at school, but allegedly gonna call in.
Oh, okay.
So we'll have him call in later. But fucking 5 years of doing this shit is insane.
Yeah. Hey, what'd you guys get me? Because it's the it's the Wood anniversary, so
I got you some W.
That's my undying love now.
thought I had that always, but I. All right.
Times 2.
And
6-pack of Kenwood.
just all sponsor stuff. I got it. Makes sense.
I mean, we started this thing basically with the Eagles going to the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl, and I don't think any of us thought, 5 years later we'd be where we are now with 6 successful podcasts on a network, our staff doubling from 5 of us to, like almost 14 of us now across all of our content and people doing, behind the scenes stuff for us. And we always said we were going to pull ideas from different media companies and just put our twist on it. And now we're just trying to make Underground a household name.
I don't think that I expected us to have so many shows. You know what I mean? Like, I think we all kind of had the idea, like, yeah, we're going to just keep doing this, right? We're going to keep this building. But I thought it was just going to be, like, one podcast. Like, even when we initially started doing top bids, right? And then it kind of was like...
Yeah, then what happened? What happened? I don't.
Like, I thought, yeah, we're going to have this one podcast. We're going to try to, build this thing up as much as we can. And hopefully a lot of people listen. And now... yeah.
500 episodes into this one.
Yeah.
Spin-off, titles and YouTube content, and we're really doing the content creation thing like full force. And I think that's awesome to see.
Brought Top Ends in the original spinoff, came back 4 years later, and then
Comeback.
we started Outside the Box. That has grown into a global phenomenon.
DJ are great.
It's insane. Streamer season, a
Yeah.
product of the pandemic. Golf, a product of the pandemic. And we got
I'm gonna
some-
say it. I'm gonna say it. Thanks, COVID. That's what everyone's scared to say it. I get it. But thanks. You did that one thing for us.
You really helped us pop off, right?
Expand.
Once the internet medium started to become a real thing.
And I think, like, when we started, too, like, we were fortunate we started in 2018. Because then as, years went on, people were like, oh, I'm going to start a podcast. And we already had a, somewhat solid foundation in, so that when we did have these spin-off shows happen, it was like, oh, we can, I see the crossover all the time with people who listen to OTB, they come to streamer season, or they listen to the main pod, then they go to Top Bins, and the crossover factor there is starting to pay off a ton, and I think that's been massive just for us to kind of be, because you can start all the spin-off shows you want, doesn't mean they're going to be successful all the time. But I think for us to, essentially 7 days a week have content going out either on a podcast app or on YouTube is pretty crazy.
Which is huge because, like anyone watching or listening, like one of those shows applies to you, whether you're local and you like Philadelphia sports teams, or you follow golf, or you follow lacrosse, or you like movies and streaming and so forth. So it's kind of access to everyone at this point.
which before we get into the birds, this is not an official ad read, but I do have breaking news about local stuff. We signed our biggest ad deal ever this week
Hey, yo.
with the city of Vineland.
Excuse me?
City of Vineland is
Like
Wait.
the actual city sponsors
like-
of hot.
from
This water bottle?
like the city of Vineland.
Yeah, there it is. We got product placement.
I knew I chose well when I got the water. Oh, man.
But yeah, City of Vineland is backing Underground Sports Philadelphia now.
Sick.
Well, you know, it's always growing season, so.
Perfect.
Sick.
Wow.
I think that just speaks volumes to not only, you know, the project that we all started 5 years ago, but the consistency of each one of us at whatever point in, you know, the 5-year history. Like, you guys have been the most consistent out of everything, and it's just week in, week out making content for multiple, you know, mediums and multiple channels and all that kind of stuff. It's just a testament to, you know, work ethic as well as, you know, the consistency. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, like, we have, like, with the crossover stuff, like, you're streaming on Twitch, you know, playing FIFA and everything, and
Barely.
but, like, you have people from your Twitch streams coming in, watching and listening to Top Bins,
Yes.
and those numbers show, and, you know, it crosses, you know, me and DJ going out on the road every summer, like, we get that, you know, guerrilla marketing, being in different cities every weekend, and then, you know, everybody watches fucking TV and movies, and that was like a no-brainer to start that show, and to see where we are now, and the fact that 5 years later we're getting ready to dive right into a Super Bowl again is crazy.
Can I ask what everyone's favorite non-Eagles Super Bowl sports memory has been over the last 5 years? Because I already have my answer. It's very easy for me.
Non-Eagle Super Bowl.
It can't be the Super because that's the easy one. That's right at the start.
It has to be Philadelphia sports.
It doesn't have to be Philadelphia sports because mine is not Philadelphia sports actually.
Oh, okay.
It's Liverpool winning the league for me. It's with like the crowning achievement of my life.
Oh, man, now you feel, that
If it all ended tomorrow, I'd be like, well,
I sound like I'm
I got to see that. So
I sound like I'm gonna copycat because mine's Milan winning the Super Bowl last
Yeah.
year.
fair. That's totally fair.
Well, my other teams outside of the Eagles sucks.
No good Flyers moments. What's up with that? That's-
Wearing a Union shirt. I mean,
Yeah, I guess. Dude, I haven't even watched the Flyers all year, Matt. Do you, like,
Why
I'm
would you? Why would you?
To think I once started as the hockey guy, and now I can't even name certain players in the roster. But
I think, unfortunately, that's the experience of many Flyers fans now.
Yeah.
Is that
I'm not sure what the hell would be, dude. It's crazy. I have to think about that.
I mean, the fact that we were in that room in 2018 banging hand over fist for the Phillies, pleading with them to sign Jake Arrieta, and then they go to the World Series this year was
that's definitely my
amazing.
that's up
my true like Philly sports moment. That's actually been my favorite thing was
Yeah.
this past fall, like the Phillies being back in the World Series, and I think you know, we had talked so much about how just having like playoff baseball back, how amazing that would be, and I really miss that atmosphere. I really miss that experience because like for all of us, especially like in our formative years when we're in like high school, like late middle school, like the Phillies were like the best team in baseball, and it was just it was a blast. So it was really cool to get to revisit that, and yeah, I mean, it feels too like you come into this season and you could have even more memories. But I would say the Phillies World Series run is definitely like my favorite Philadelphia sports memory over the last 5 years for sure.
I think I have mine now. It's probably winning 3 fantasy football championships.
I mean, that's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good.
The pockets and the heart was happy with that one. So
Yeah, it's hard to beat fantasy football wins. Your dad absolutely destroyed me in the fantasy football league.
Still talks about it. It's you and Mikey Ostrowski's in that league. He literally brings up, he's like, remember when I beat Matt and Mikey?
It was an
I'm
insane
like,
week.
yeah, Dad. I remember. It was like a month ago. I was like, I literally helped you pick out your lineup, old man. All right.
Oh, so I have you to thank. Thank you.
Plus, like even like adding on like the Union go to the MLS Cup, the Eagles this fall, like to have those 3 all kind of like align. We've never experienced that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we could be the first city to lose like 3 major championships in a year. That's cool. Like, right?
Well,
We
maybe
got
he
that.
wanted to say that, but he has a good point.
Well, yeah, because I was gonna say that the Phillies would definitely be my favorite Philadelphia sports memory. You know, since the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. I would have to put it up above, watching the process kind of come to fruition. However, the Sixers still can't get past the second round. So it holds this more sour point, the whole Ben Simmons fiasco and seeing how that kind of unfolded. And, bringing in James Harden's great. But I have to put the Phillies over that. And me, I'm more of a basketball guy. But definitely seeing that success. It's been a good time to be a Philadelphia sports fan of recent. We're not used to it. But, the city's starting to learn.
I would say Ben Simmons trade is actually might be one of my top 5 moments. I vividly remember that day last spring. It was a great spring day, and I had Moe's for dinner to celebrate. I swear to God, because we don't eat out very often. I was like, let's get Moe's.
It's 1 year tomorrow that he was traded.
Just beautiful. It was an unseasonably warm day, and great moment. Damn, what a time.
Bye, bozo.
And I mean, the fact that we have athletes who rep us now too, and actively consume our content, share our content. Whether it's Cole Irvin started doing it because we played fucking NHL with him on a Twitch stream.
Yeah.
Then he's wearing our gear on his Twitch streams.
He kicked my ass.
Mike Scott shows up to an All-Star Game watch party at a bowling alley in Philly, repping us.
I'm gonna wear that hat tonight.
The fact that that's happened, obviously we've been on board with Jamil's career since day one, and he's, bought into us 110%, and who knows who's next? You know what I mean? That's the cool part of just how much we've grown since, February 7th of 2018. It wouldn't surprise me, any athlete, is listening to our stuff and consuming our content at this point.
Yeah, we got to do some cool shit.
Yeah.
We got to interview the Arkells.
Was
that was a really
insane.
cool experience. Definitely got to have some conversations with athletes that I don't know, you just don't get to do that very often. If you're not a journalist, if you're not someone working within the industry, right? Get to just even have a casual chat. It doesn't even have to be a super formal interview and things like that. That's been a really cool experience over the last 5 years, getting to do some stuff that typically I just never really saw myself doing, but also I don't know, not many people get the opportunity to do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a really cool experience.
Yeah, I would say that another one, especially within underground sports, the inception of Outside the Box, where the PLL was just starting, so we jumped on that quick.
The Wings came back.
When the Wings, that's the initial, right? When the Wings came back to Philly, we jumped in, interviewed the commissioner of the league
At the league office.
Yeah, we're
Just because we went to the draft, and the only reason you went was because the Sixers blue and white game, there was a flood at the Palestra.
Yeah, I had tickets to the blue and white game. I forgot about that.
Because you were going to be there, I was going to be at the draft, and we were going to just have cross-platform, content and everything.
I'm on the highway. I text you. I'm like, they canceled it. I'm coming.
I was like, yo, come to Xfinity. And it's wild looking back at that draft now, too, because, I didn't know shit about lacrosse then. And you look at who got drafted that year, Trevor Baptiste is a homie. Rambo was there. Austin Stotts was our first player guest. He was drafted that year. And now, 5 years later, pretty much of OTB, we're on the road every summer. The founders of the PLL, gave us our flowers this summer on social media.
Well, that's the thing is, it still stands out to me, recording episodes in the press section long after the game, everybody's cleared out. We're getting to know the players in the press conferences, and now you can even see it because you have the fancy cameras and stuff set up, and that clip you put in the video. Trevor Baptiste, oh, this is normal now?
Yeah. That was in a press conference, which is insane.
The rapport with those players now, where you're kind of one of the media outlets that's ingrained within both leagues, which is really, really cool.
We hung out with Chaos after the championship game this year, and Chase Frazier was chilling with us and was like, boys, every time I get on the plane, you're the first podcast I turn on. And you have to remove yourself from that moment and be like, what the fuck is going on right now? It's insane. And I just see the growth of our other 3 shows with getting the whole streamer season and now Top Ends being back full time. The sky's the limit for.
We're getting messy.
Like, the sky's the limit for all three of those brands to just grow. And then not to mention, like, the Dan Russo show is, like, the #1 viewed video podcast on our channel on YouTube since we started doing video, and having that relationship there has spurned so many different avenues for us. Like, I never thought I'd be doing play-by-play for Violent High School sports. That's all because of Russo.
The first time I was at my mom's house on a Friday night or something, and the game was on, and then I'm hearing them hearing the commentators talking. I'm like, "That's Kyle."
And then we have the one of the most viral moments of 2022 is that football play from the playoffs and everything, and just goes dummy, and it's just like my voice in that, and that's all because Russo sits me down like it's the Godfather at Larry's, and was like, yeah, we want to do a podcast, but you guys have the means to do it, so we want to partner with you. I was like, say no more.
It's crazy that the first statement he makes about the entire situation, you guys broke that.
Yep.
And that's kind of cool because being a high school coach, I kind of understand. It's kind of a big deal when you come out and talk about controversial things. The whole city's looking at you and waiting to see what you say. All the parents, and in this case, a high-profile sport at Violent High School, like football, they're waiting to hear what you have to say about this game. So that was really crazy.
Yeah, like the moments we have over the last 5 years, whether it's on shows or just like Philly sports in general, like we even talk about Bryce Harper signing here.
Yeah,
that was insane.
We've had so much happen with him.
I think it's the most, honestly, like the last 5 years, like if you're talking like free agents or trades, it's been, I mean, a lot of it has been the Phillies, but again, we talked about James Harden, right? Even Jimmy Butler is in there. You had the LeBron sweepstakes.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of.
Even the embarrassing Orange team, who I will not name, has actually signed several notable.
Yeah.
Kevin Hayes came here, like
JVR, but to big money. So to Matt's point, literally every single franchise in Philly has made moves or tried, or some more than others.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle and the show we do, I say the same line at every show, and it used to no one would ever leave a recommendation, and now people actually
people DM us like, yo, you should watch this show, watch this movie.
Watch and stream, which is that's to me that's one of the
like we
You ever
interviewed an
hear this
executive
movie?
producer.
It's called Star Wars. You ever hear that? It's pretty good. You guys should watch it.
Both familiar with that.
Yeah, it's like two.
Big Sam
it's like
guy.
it's like a guy and his sister. They kiss. It's like kind of cool. And then there's there's a little green guy. It's pretty good. I don't know. I was on Tryptophan when I watched it.
I'll take notes of that. I'll add to the
Yeah, I'd recommend it. Not many people are talking about it, but
Really underrated show, Game of Thrones.
yeah.
I've heard of that one, but
Never watched it.
it's got to do with brother.
And, like we interviewed an executive producer
Yeah.
from Hollywood on that show. Like we're planning to go to Comic-Con this year. Like
Really?
yeah.
I agreed if we get a certain number of.
Once we hit 1K, Dylan's cosplaying for Comic-Con.
I'll regret that.
So like the sky's the limit with everything, and then I've been talking with some of our guys that aren't in New Jersey or in the Philly area, like Pat Pitts. He has a new show that's going to be coming out on our YouTube channel. I'm breaking it here. It's going to be called Pitts on Parade, and just think Billy on the Street, but with Pat Pitts, and it's in one of the biggest cities in the country, in Boston. It's going to be hilarious. He's going to do it with a tiny mic. He's got a cameraman, so that's going to be hilarious. And we have F1 content coming as well.
Who's doing the F1?
Casey Libertor, who I met through Brooke and Alex, OTB. That spurned that relationship too. She's photographed the Phantoms a ton, and she's huge into F1. And I was just like, hey, if you want a platform to talk about F1, go for it. And she's taking it by the
another
reins.
low-key pandemic inspired, because everyone watched the Netflix series, and I think that got people really into F1. A lot of drama in F1. I've never watched it, but a lot of people in my timeline do, even Embiid does.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
every Sunday randomly at 9 a.m. it's like, oh my god, can you believe this? And I'm like,
The way people defend their favorite driver, it's like watching people talk about their favorite soccer.
it's honestly the same experience
Yeah.
because I've always watched soccer, so I'm used to getting I'm used to my day being ruined at 8 a.m. on a Sunday, so now I get to see the experience from the other side where I'm like watching someone else tweet through it before brunch is even open. It's good to see.
Yeah, so we got big stuff coming in 2023 and beyond, but we got a Super Bowl to talk about. The Eagles are going back to the
Who's
Super
playing-
Bowl.
What?
Our Super Bowl coverage is brought to you by our incredible merch partners, PHI Apparel Company. They're our exclusive home to all of our merch. There's no doubt with their unique designs, including all of our podcasts having merch on their storefront as well. Your big game parties this weekend, you're going to stand out if you got your merch from PHI Apparel Company. Our big game shirt is available as well, so go check that out. It's inspired by the late 90s, early 2000s, like vintage Super Bowl shirts they used to put out. So go check that out. Plus, all of our podcasts have merch as well. And when you go to phiapparel.co, you use code underground at checkout. That's how they know you're coming from us. You get 10% off as well. And when you get your merch, just tag us on social media, tweet at us, because we want to see where you're repping your merch from. But Eagles are going to the Super Bowl. The big controversy local, I would say, especially on the Facebook.com,
I know exactly what you're gonna say, dude.
is obviously Isaiah Pacheco is playing for the Chiefs, and it continues to pop up like to this day. It's not that hard, everybody, to realize that if you're an Eagles fan, you root for your team you've rooted for your entire life, and just hope Isaiah plays well. You don't have to switch your allegiances, none of that shit. I don't understand why it's such a difficult concept for people to understand.
Yeah, Birds win. He gets a tutty. We all win. I don't understand.
I think some of them aren't actual Birds fans,
Mm-hmm.
but I also do think some of the people who are caping for him the most either are very close friends or family, one, and two, people that think if you are rooting for him wholeheartedly, you don't want him to lose, obviously, so they want the Chiefs to win because they want to see him win a Super Bowl ring. So I get it, but there's one thing you're raised learning, and that's you don't turn your back on the Birds if you're a Birds fan. So
It also helps his case that he landed in probably the best spot.
Right.
Their running
Yeah.
back room was not the best, and he's really shined seriously. And then secondly, he's playing for this guy called Andy Reid, and their quarterback's Patrick Mahomes. So is it out of line to say they'll probably reach the promised land again? No, they most certainly will at least one more time in their tenure, if not more. So my point is, you really aren't being rooting against Isaiah if you're a Birds fan growing up because it's your team.
Exactly. I personally, going into the 2017, 2018 Super Bowl, I feel like we were all on edge and nervous because it was Tom Brady. It was the Patriots. It was that revenge factor from Super Bowl 39. I'm decently calm going into this Super Bowl.
I think it's because our quarterback is so calm, dude.
I agree. I feel like the demeanor
So
of
scared
the
of this,
team.
I'll be honest.
Just for that player, you going 1v1 versus Patrick Mahomes.
I just feel like this team is this team, even though there's only 6 guys from the 2017 roster that went to the Super Bowl that are still here, this team, the entire 53-man roster and the coaching staff just are carrying themselves like they've been there before.
I think too, the Eagles won that Super Bowl, so there isn't the anxiety anymore, and there isn't and it was so recent too.
Yeah.
It's not like you're so far removed that you don't remember the experience. I think when you've built up that kind of experience of winning it all, and finally too, I think getting a Super Bowl, it can't be held over your heads anymore. That I think is a big part of it. I think too, this team has just been this team is better than the 2017 team talent wise. From top to bottom on the roster, and it's probably the most talented roster in the NFL. They're here deservedly. There was some aspect, I think, to the 2017 team. Not that it was a fluke, but that it felt a little more magical than real.
Yeah.
Nick Foles stepping in, and there was the worry about how he was going to look in that game, which is hilarious, after the fact, because it was one of the most high scoring Super Bowls in history. But, it's there was, I think, an element to it where it's it felt like at some point it was going to turn midnight, and this kind of underdog story was famously, of course, they were underdogs in every game, in that stretch. Whereas this season has been the complete opposite, where it's like, it's almost like if Wentz had never got injured, this is the type of year I think that you would have had, where it's like, no way are the Eagles underdogs all the way through and into the Super Bowl. If maybe Wentz is still healthy during that year, but maybe they don't even win. Who knows? I just think this year there's so much more assuredness because of the talent and because of the fact that this team is like rightfully in this position. I don't think there's any really question at all. They're the best team in football this year by record, and again, deservedly so.
Defense wins championships, as a wise man once said, and I think that's part of the reason what Matt was saying to bounce off of that. I feel like Kyle was saying there are only a handful of guys that were actually on the roster, but then to point that, you have guys like Darius Slay. Did you guys see a picture of him staring at the trophy?
Yeah.
That man was possessed. Like, he was literally just looking right at it. Like, he wants that thing. And if Bradbury doesn't have a ring either.
No.
So there are these guys, these notable guys who are killing it this year on the defense alone, who want to actually get their first ring. So you have the guys who are trying to repeat the process, won't have the anxiety, and you have the guys who are going to do everything on their willpower to get their first
Like
ring.
Hassan Reddick.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's also a big thing when you have a young quarterback that is just so mature for the experience that he has.
Mm-hmm.
It came out, Michael Vick was saying after, he spent time with him during that whole interview that it was them two and Donovan McNabb. He said, like, he left that, like, looking at Jalen Hurts a completely different way. Like he said, he is so, poised and handles himself so great, and, like, he's so intelligent. Like, he wants his son to grow up and be like Jalen Hurts, basically. Like, so, that and the fact that he squats 600 pounds.
Apparently it's 620 now. There's a recent picture on Twitter has surfaced of that.
God, man. That's just absolutely incredible. But yeah, I mean, like, to have that, and then there's some really eerily similar things this year on the Eagles' like journey to the Super Bowl that happened like in 2017-18. Like, they're constantly still being counted out, no matter, like Matt said, like, they proved obviously they're the best team in football, but everybody's still counting them out, making excuses, trying to, like, oh yeah, but and we don't have the whole dog masks things, going on, but we have the Batman thing going on. But, it still seems like the players are taking that, like, they have the chip on their shoulders still. Like, even though there isn't pressure, like, everybody's still counting us out, which even means there's less pressure, right? Everybody's already counting us out. Nobody thinks that we can do this. It's Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid. This has been one of the best teams in football for the last, however many years. Yeah. In the last 5 years, I think they've been to the Super Bowl 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
You can fact check me. I think that's
yes,
right.
That is correct, Tom.
So,
you're correct.
Got stat correct today. They're gonna go in again and just handle business. Hopefully, they come out with a win.
Did you see the C.J. Gardner-Johnson quote about Julian Love when he was on Good Morning Football this past week? And he was saying Nick Sirianni's got, like, the easiest job. Like, he doesn't do anything to, like, this, that, and the third.
Quote, yeah.
So C.J. Gardner-Johnson said, "Me and Coach are straight. That's my boy. I regard him like a brother/mentor with all the lessons he teaches you and shit." On Love's comments, Gardner-Johnson said, "Tell him to pick his face mask off the dirt. He's got a captain badge, but what's he a captain of? Ain't no leadership over there. If that's the case, y'all would be where we're at."
Oh my god. Sean Payton talked about that.
Yeah.
How they traded. He was like, I have no idea why the Saints did that. They were stupid, and it was a steal for the Eagles. So that made me feel like, happier.
But wait. I don't get it. Sirianni's job is easy because
That's what Julian Love
Birds
said.
are so good. But that goes against the whole narrative that this has been a system in coaching.
Mm-hmm.
The players are just playing in a system that, you can replace any player, they're still going to win. Like, which one is it?
Exactly.
People also forget that, like, there are coaches that are, like, player coaches. And, like, Nick Sirianni may not be, like, an offensive maestro or mastermind, but you damn well know he has everyone's back and they have his. Like, you watch the videos, they will ride and die for that man. That is definitely unquestioned. And most of Philly would ride or die for him at this point.
It's the same with Doug Peterson in 17-18. Yeah. Again, like, that was not a talented team. If you look at the names that were, like, big story, half of those guys are not even in the NFL anymore.
Yeah.
Like, which is not atypical of, like, a 5-year span. But, guys like Corey Clement, right? Like who's the guy who made the interception in the Vikings game?
Patrick Robinson.
Not like
retired.
Right?
Long's retired now.
Like you have these guys that were like sort of like just NFL like replacement level players that
like
were
Eric Blunt.
that were putting in like just the biggest moments of their careers. And I think the thing that I always come back to with sports in general is just like head coaches, no matter the sport, are bosses at the same time. Like, and you have to have, like, we all have jobs and we all have bosses that we've either liked or disliked, and usually it's because of how they carry themselves. Like, are they charismatic? Are they relatable? Are they someone that is like willing to understand like you and like how you work? But like those things matter. It doesn't change when you're a coach. Like, yes, they obviously have to understand the game at a very like elite level and understand like tactically how to work and things like that. But it's just as important that they're like a normal person, that they can like communicate and that they have like emotional intelligence. Like, to me, that is always the most underrated aspect of discussion when we talk about like coaches, and like people just want these like game bots that have like no thoughts or feelings, right? And that can just like figure out any situation. But you can't do that if you're not like an empathetic person, if you don't have that high emotional intelligence, if you don't know how to like, these guys handle way more behind the scenes than just like making sure that like someone's open on a play. Like there's a lot that goes into it that I think goes unnoticed.
You hit the nail on the head, where Sirianni, Peterson, and you can even go look at coaches in other sports too. They know that fine line of having that personality and keeping the mood light, and knowing when to have fun and let loose with their players. But then they can also reel them in and still be that respectful authority figure of the team who runs everything, makes the final decision, and handles the structure of everything. So you saw like Doug Peterson. Let's finish watching this film. We got ice cream in the other room when we're done. Like every single meeting day. Like Sirianni's pumping the fans up, looking behind, cursing to the this is our day. Like, this is our stuff. He's pumped up. Like, if I'm a player on that team and I'm seeing my coach like that, I'm hyped. I want to keep going out there and fighting for him every single day. Like, I feel like there's too many people want the head coach to be like this stoic kind of like uber professional type of person where if they let loose, it's a big controversy.
The boring Bill Belichick's of the world, the monotone answers.
But every player that has played for Bill Belichick talks about how much they love him. And like how like his personality behind the closed doors is like very different. Like, he's a very like engaging, enthusiastic person.
I
like,
wasn't going to say that Belichick falls into that.
I
He
was
falls
saying
into
in
that
terms
other
of
side.
the narrative of how he talks, not behind the scenes.
Oh, no,
He gives very boring responses.
Yeah. No, I think, you have those other coaches that are always just like, they come in, they're very boring and just straight to the point, like talk about the
Sean
game.
Payton.
That's it. And then, all right, if you piss them off by questioning them about something that they struggled with, they get angry and leave. Like, and then those coaches get to a point, like a boiling point, and then you have those meltdowns. Like,
And they're fired.
they are who we thought they were. That whole type of thing,
That's an all-timer.
And the kind of coach that Dougie and Nick are work. I mean, like, Doug is no longer obviously with the Eagles. He's down in Florida. He's the ultimate Florida man right now. But it worked. They bought in. Jacksonville made the playoffs this year. So
3 wins to 9.
So clearly, they're doing something right
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like he was able to establish himself here and do something magical, and able to go to a even worse roster, Jacksonville, and then almost make magic again. So, point is, like, that kind of coach definitely works. The Eagles have proved it. Hopefully, they prove it again. So, yeah.
What's the general feeling for this game? Because I know we said we're calm, and I think in general. Well, Kyle said he's calm.
I am fucking nervous.
Well, I mean, I saw the game script dropped on social media this
Yeah.
week, and we're going to be down 10-0 after the first quarter, apparently.
I
Which
saw 10-10.
No, it's 10. It was 10. It was down 10-0 in the first quarter, and then it's like 14-13, I think, in the second.
So then it's like 24-13 at halftime.
Yeah, I put like
Eagles down and
$20,000 on DraftKings on that. So better hope that script is right.
That's on the 43-37 or something like that.
I don't know if it's going to be that high scoring.
I think it's gonna be a shootout, man.
It depends on how they pressure. Because I think it was last year. Mahomes lost to the Bills last year, right?
No.
Or 2
It beat
years
the
ago.
Bills.
Last time I was watching highlights of like Mahomes, it popped like on Twitter, and like it seems like obviously he's superhuman, but he does throw picks like anyone else. And I think with our defense, we have the ability to force him to make mistakes. And I think it's going to come down to making him make mistakes, and then have Jalen just play a simple game like he has been all year. I wouldn't be surprised if Hurts literally throws for less than 200 yards and they just run the ball down their throats. Like
They need to have a balance.
yeah,
They need a balance.
oh yeah, maybe like a little more. But my point is like I'm not expecting Hurts to have Nick Foles, Tom Brady, 500 yards, like 210 yards, like one passing touchdown's fine. I think that like balance is probably the best way to put it. I think if they can do like they can run effectively, throw when they need to, and like pressure Mahomes, they can win and it won't be a huge offensive game.
The pressure on Mahomes is interesting because Mahomes' pressure to sack rate, which is exactly what it sounds like, which is how often when you're pressured does it turn into sack, is actually the lowest in the NFL.
Yeah,
he's like amazing. Like
He's
one of the most
unbelievable.
underrated aspects of his ability is that he's like great at just avoiding contact, and like you don't really expect it of him because he's sort of always looks a little awkward when he's running, and he's not like. We'd much more associate with Jalen Hurts with a stat like that, right? Where it's like, yeah, Jalen is like great, like forcing his way out of the pocket, like someone like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, these guys that we think a lot more of like mobile quarterbacks. Like, but like Patrick Mahomes is like one of these guys that is like very hard. He's like nailing like jelly to a wall. Like it's just very hard to get him contained and to get him down. I think that's going to be the really big thing. And I think too, like the Eagles have one of the best rush offenses this century. You know, like it's very unprecedented what they've been able to do on the ground. And, you know, the Chiefs don't have like an elite defense, but they're good at like game planning for one specific thing, like on any given week. Like they've shown.
Don't break defense, I would say.
Yeah, and they've shown an ability to like make life hard for people. I don't know like though that there's really a way to stop what this team can do offensively when they're on the ground. My only concern is that like that strength has to be like combined with the fact that you have a lead or that it is a tight game. Like you cannot allow like a situation where you're 10-0 down in the first quarter, and that is like your strength there is like you could still run the ball in that situation, right? But like, you know, it's not an ideal way to win a game. And Jalen Hurts like still is sort of struggling with his shoulder injury. Like his least accurate games have all come in the last month and a half. You know, like of the season. Like it's very obvious that injury is affecting him. He's obviously diminishing it, but like it's very clear from just the way that they've played that he is still like impeded in some way. Now he's had 2 weeks, so maybe that helps. But you know, he had a whole week going into the playoffs and has had time to rest. So I don't know. You know, I think it's a very hard game for me to call. I bet personally on the Chiefs simply because if you're giving Patrick Mahomes as an underdog, I'm going to throw $40 on that and just see where it gets me. Like but you know, like part of me still thinks the Eagles can certainly win this game. I mean, come on.
I don't bet money anymore.
If I'm gonna be,
Oh,
you
why?
ended
Because you're
up in
saving for a
prison.
wedding?
No, because I'm on release right now from prison. I have to go back right after this.
Probation.
Matt raises a good point. Like if the bad happens, I might as well be sad with extra money in my pocket. That was my mindset. Because if I win, I don't care about the $50 I put on the Chiefs.
Exactly.
Again, I think you bring up Hurts' shoulder injury. Like, don't forget Patrick Mahomes has a high ankle sprain.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely.
That's why I want
There's
the
wide
pressure thing.
receivers hurt too.
Yeah.
I think Mahomes' ankle injury. The thing that interests me the most about that is it just didn't seem to matter against Cincinnati. Like and that was a week. That was with a week, not even a full week. That's like 5 days. And ankle injuries, even high ankle injuries, typically are like even worse in the days after. The fact that he was still, you could see him like hobbling in that game and wasn't quite as mobile as maybe he normally was. But in the most pivotal part of the game too, he like gritted it out and still was able to get like that crucial first down and then the roughing.
I just wonder
like
how the
extra roughing.
Eagles pass rush, you know, with the depth that they have. Because I think the Eagles pass rush, we can all agree, it's better than the Bengals.
Absolutely.
As a depth, you know, thing, and then just talent-wise. I'm curious how that's going to work out with Mahomes' ankle injury. It's just like the speed that the Eagles have off the edge with Josh Sweat, with Hassan Reddick, even Brandon Graham. Like, I think they have the guys that if you were going to be able to, you know, run down Mahomes at a less than 100% capacity, I think the Eagles have the defense.
I think what concerns me with the Chiefs, though, is that they're very smart. They're a very smart team, like, and they're so adaptable. Like, I think, again, one of the most underrated things, like, they've been to 5 straight AFC Championship games. They've been to 3 of the last 5 Super Bowls. Like, even the Patriots in their heyday were, like, touching this kind of stuff. Like, this is very rarefied air that they're in, and it's because they've been able to reinvent themselves. They did it this year. You know, they lose Tyreek Hill, and they become a more dink and dunk team. Like, this is Travis Kelce's like lowest like depth of target this year, right? Like he's become this over the middle guy rather than he used to be like getting like 17, 20 yard chunk plays. And that's just, they've adapted, you know, they've changed the way they are. they have these like guys that they can run like Pacheco, right? Like
They
that you
found-
can
found
get
a
these.
starter in the 7th round.
Absolutely, but you can get a great screen pass to him. You have McKinnon who's like able to do that. You have Kadarius Toney, which if he's healthy, like for the entirety of this game, which has not been the case for him a lot. But like they have these twitchy guys that you can, your pass rush doesn't mean anything if the ball is out in a second and it's to the side and like you're just in a sort of you have to reassess as a defense like how to manage that. Like I think the Chiefs are just very good at this shit. Like that's the problem.
Team that kind of just they could be having nothing go for them, and then all of a sudden 2, 3, 4 plays in a row they're getting chunks of yards, and now like Matt said, you're like, whoa.
And that's what having one of the best coaches of all time, and one of the will retire one of the best quarterbacks of all time at the rate he's going. They have that ability to be able to do. And their offensive coordinator is talented, and like Matt said, they have some weapons. It's funny you say Toney because like if he's healthy, ironically enough, because he's super, super, super fast, he's actually what scares me because I don't want to see like a Tyreek Hill Jr. performance out of that man. And that's very plausible because of what you just said, how smart they are with scheming and stuff like that. I'm just hoping that I was listening to Chris Long's podcast and someone else's. I wanted to listen to as many like ex-NFL players and like coaches and scouts, and it seems the one consensus going in our favor is there are some like poor matchups in the Chiefs' favor for their offensive line to our ability to try to pressure Mahomes. But it goes back to what Matt was saying. Mahomes is like hard to pin down, but I do think maybe if his ankle is still slightly like 15% banged up, that obviously gives you a better chance to sack him or at least pressure him into throwing a pick. Like I honestly don't think we'll sack him that much. I'm just hoping he'll throw a pick or make dumb throws because he's doing a dink and dunk, or maybe he tries to throw the ball downfield, or he forces it to Kelsey. Whatever happens. I think in terms of actually sacking, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens more than once or twice because of how he's able to escape. And he like you said, he has like an underrated speed to him almost.
Yeah. Like Corey Clement was the unsung hero, I think, of the Super Bowl. Everybody remembers like Aguilar had the game of his life, the Zach Ertz touchdown, and then obviously the Brandon Graham, strip sack. Corey Clement led the Eagles in receiving in Super Bowl 52. He had 100 yards. No, I was going to ask you guys, like, who do you think could be that guy for the Eagles this year?
I think Kenneth Gainwell is like a great pick because he fits very much the same mold too. He's fast, and I think the Chiefs have struggled with like those types of running backs through this whole year, and I think he's like kind of there's so many X factors in this game. I think Eagles offensively, like he's a very important part to this, right? Like this is a good Kenneth Gainwell game. Like the Eagles have probably won the Super Bowl. It's him and AJ Brown I think are really like dependent because the one thing the Chiefs have consistently been bad at, I think, too, is explosive plays, which is the Eagles' bread and butter, too. Like, the Eagles, for all the countenance about, like, their run game, the only team that has had more explosive plays than the Eagles is the Chiefs. They're very good, and, like, Jalen Hurts is, like, one of his biggest qualities, even last year when there were still questions about him, was, like, he can throw a great deep ball, and you got a guy in A.J. Brown who can go and is very athletic, and even someone like Devontae Smith can pull off amazing half catches. So, like, I think that could be an area where the Eagles could definitely exploit Kansas City defensively. And I agree with what Dylan said too, where it's like I think a lot of the strengths that the Eagles have are very much opposite of the Chiefs' weaknesses. Like there are a lot of areas that I think the Eagles are definitively better than. I think the only place that the Chiefs are unquestionably better is the most important place, and that's Mahomes. But outside of that, I think the Eagles, again, this is the most talented roster in the league. And it's what the Chiefs have done is impressive. Especially when you consider like how many rookies they've had to cycle in and out this year. The Eagles have been really fortunate with injury luck. Chiefs have not quite been the same, but Chiefs too, like we can't forget, have made a lot of bets on rookies. I think they have like 4,000 minutes of rookies this year, or like plays, and the Eagles have like less than 1,000. It's just been like it has not been a year where the Eagles have had to rely on like young guys to get it done. Like it's been a veteran-led team, even if that veteranship is just 2 or 3 years. Like a lot of the guys out there have been playing.
Yeah.
I mean, we were doing so much talking on the Eagles defense versus the Chiefs offense. You bring up a great point about the number of weapons that the Eagles have on offense. It's crazy, that the Eagles have two wide receivers that are deep threats. They can go across the middle. They can really do it all, no matter what kind of scheme you put up there. Even Quez Watkins, I mean, being the third wide receiver in the core, like he has the potential for a big play, but he's also a guy that when all the eyes are on everybody else, boom, you can always go to him. Dallas Goedert is kind of like just kind of staying under the radar. People kind of forget he's back, and
that he's a top 5 tight end in the NFL.
Exactly, big hands. And then you have the running tandem. Miles Sanders is always good for a big play, but it's definitely a Gainwell type of game where you have those kind of grind out 2, 3, 4 yards a play, and then you do enough of them and you get enough success, especially with the offensive line. I mean, we have one of the best offensive lines in the league. The way that they scheme the blocking patterns and everything works real well. Jason Kelsey is still one of the top centers in the league, and
I think he was ranked, like math-wise, the second center in football this year. So not much of a fall off in his older age.
Yeah, I mean, we have some guys that cause some penalties, like Landon Dickerson sometimes is good for a couple holding calls here and there or a false start.
But even he's become a great offensive.
He's a Pro Bowler.
He has definitely proven me wrong, because in the beginning of the season I used to complain a lot about him. And like as the season has gone on, I've seen him develop into a very good offensive lineman. If the Eagles can kind of keep the penalty yards down on both sides of the field, I think that'll play a huge part, because the way that the Eagles play football can get into the heads of the other team and kind of draw off penalties and stuff like that, or when they go out and they make it seem like they're gonna quarterback sneak and they try to get a false start out of the defense and things like that. So I think that the little intricacies of the game are going to be the difference of who wins this game.
I forget who it was, so I apologize to who put the poll out, but it was probably one of the best which one was better polls I've seen in a long time. The Eagles trading for A.J. Brown or the Eagles signing Hassan Reddick, which one was more important?
I think A.J. Brown is really the key to the Eagles being like a great Super Bowl contender. Like without Hassan Reddick, I don't know if the Eagles are necessarily in a spot, but I think really without A.J. Brown, I don't know this team is here. I mean, you saw very much this offense last year without someone like him, because he's such like a physical receiver too, like what he's able to do. Like not many guys with his speed and athleticism are able to go across the middle too. Like he's this big guy that can like lay hits, that can get physical with cornerbacks and defensive backs. That is just like, it's a rare combination of like power and athleticism that you just don't get with a lot of receivers. I think he is like a true like game changer for this offense. I don't think it's a coincidence either that he's come on the scene and Jalen has like had a career year too. Like I think those things are very linked.
Too, like compare it with Devontae. Like I genuinely not even like taking the Eagles hat off. Like literally, I don't think there's a better receiver that pair like with Brown to Devontae. I think they pair extremely well with their strengths. Like how Brown's a big body receiver. He can play in the middle. He can do the occasional long ball that gets open. Devontae is just a ninja and is always open. And A.J. Brown pulling off double or single coverage from the top DBs allows Devontae to get open. And then Quez gets open, Dallas Goedert gets open, etc. So yeah, I mean, Reddick's been amazing, and he's playing at elite level this season. But I think A.J. Brown just elevates their offense like 1,000 times.
Devontae and A.J. Brown are like the true like power finesse duo. Like it is like they're such like they're very complimentary in that way.
You have two wide receiver one talent like caliber players as a 1-2 tandem. It's crazy. Was Reddick brought in because of the Hargreaves injury?
We signed him in free agency this year. It's kind of just like a no.
To a 3-year deal, right?
Yeah, 3-year deal.
Yeah, then I would say that AJ Brown is definitely.
And Reddick was like a homecoming thing because obviously Reddick's from Camden, went to Temple, and then he's just thrived in this defense.
Man, he's so good.
Like I think he's right now, if he gets a sack in the Super Bowl, will average at least like one full sack for the entire season.
But listen, shout
Like
out
per
to
game.
whoever, had the foresight to pick up the Eagles defense like in the fantasy draft, man, because they did not let that go.
Yeah.
And Hargrave, by the way, so like Chris Jones is like the name on the Chiefs that we're going to hear a lot about. Like if you're listening to anything over the next 4 or 5 days in the lead up. Hargrave has actually had a better year than Chris Jones. He's got 12 sacks, 57 pressures compared to Chris Jones with 11 sacks, 51 pressures. Hargrave 13% pressure percentage compared to Chris Jones 10%. Now Chris Jones gets a lot more attention, right? Like so, like Hargrave has the I think bonus of that. So oftentimes I like interior too, so like he can get a lot of 1v1s. Chris Jones isn't always so grateful and lucky to have that. But I think again it just goes to the Hargraves is like probably the least mentioned of the defensive linemen on the Eagles, and yet he's had a comparable season to like a defensive player of the year candidate. You know, like that. I think that just speaks to the overall talent on this defensive line. And like when people call it like the best defensive line that you've seen like this century, like I don't think that's hyperbole. I think that's just genuine.
If 5
fact.
guys with at least 7 sacks this year, like
It's like the team has the gall to just be like, all right, so we're building to go make a Super Bowl run. Let's just bring in Ndamukong Suh.
That's
Like, let's just bring him in as.
let's
a
bring
veteran
Linval
player.
Joseph,
That's
like
clutch shining too for us. Like,
Yeah.
that was like amazing. I forgot. I thought he was retired. I forgot he even existed.
Yeah, when I saw that news online, I was like, no
I was
way.
like, what?
that was nuts.
And that's the thing that makes it so difficult for most teams is because you see a lot of offensive linemen, you know, when they scheme the run plays, they're always doubling some guy. But then that also, like Matt said, leaves one-on-ones or leaves completely open lanes to one of the rushers. And every single guy on that line for the Eagles is a threat at all times. And you have to worry about all of them. So it's almost like damage limitation. Like if we run it to this side of the field, can we seal off at least 2 of them so we can get some extra yards? Like just even like 1-2 grind out those extra yards.
Which is why I think it's going to be so interesting with the Chiefs run game. Like the way the Eagles, once Jordan Davis came back too, because he's a refrigerator in the middle of the defense. Like with that, along with Fletcher Cox, Hargrave, Sue, Linval Joseph, like rotating in the middle, I'm curious to see how the Chiefs offensive line like tries to pick up blocks there, and then how much does that leave the edge rush open for Brandon Graham, Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat to kind of get around the outside and be in that backfield and cause, you know, pressure and, you know, chaos back there for Mahomes or stop the running backs.
I feel a Josh Sweat game coming on. I feel like he's gonna do something crazy. Hopefully a good kind of crazy, not like a Derek Barnett penalty, but nonetheless, I think something crazy.
Well, I think I was looking at some bets today, and I think he's plus money for a sack. So you know, if you're,
I think he's plus money for half a sack.
Yeah, so you
he's
can.
A luxury in people's minds and on the field with the depth chart, but people forget he is obviously an above average defensive talent.
In his last 6 full games, he's 9 sacks, not counting
That's insane.
Just okay, like but whatever, like it's unreal.
The only reason, as an FSU fan, that's where he went. He fell in the draft because he was hurt. I think he literally tore his ACL or something crazy pre-draft, and he hurt himself again, so he fell to the 4th or 5th round. Otherwise, he would have been a 1st or 2nd round.
Yeah.
So talent's always been there with that guy.
Speaking of props, you guys can go to playpickup.com, get in on all the big game props. All you got to do is sign up with your phone number. You rack up points on your fan profile when you get props correct as a collective. So everybody, you know, picks one way or the other. Whoever gets the prop correct, that's how the points get distributed. And then you cash those points in on the pickup marketplace for prizes. So go to playpickup.com now and start playing your big game props. I have a bunch of the novelty props here, which we do every single year on this show leading into the Super Bowl.
Can I just, before we do that, can I give my mind-blowing Patrick Mahomes stat?
Let's do it.
That just really reinforces what a freak he is. And I'll let you guys guess before I give you the stat. Okay, Patrick Mahomes has started 93 games in his career, right? How many of those games do you think that the Chiefs have either had the lead or been within 1 score in the 4th quarter of 93 games? They've either had a lead or been within 1 score.
90.
Fuck off, Dylan.
Is that right?
It's 90. 90 of his 93 games.
I was gonna say like something in the high 80s. It has to be really close to that number.
Yeah, that's insane.
Stupid.
That's crazy.
Maybe I will bet on Josh Sweat.
Yeah, you're on a heater. We're going to Atlantic City. Call it to work tomorrow.
So obviously the first one's going to be the coin toss.
Heads.
Heads or tails?
Tails never fails.
Heads has won 4 of the last 5 years, Dom. So,
Tails never fails.
and I'm a math genius, so I know that means that heads is going to be it again this year.
I have a question. So for the NFL coin, is there one side of the coin that has an American flag on it?
I think it's the
Don't know.
shield and
Yeah, I know one side's the
I think it's the shield. I think the other side is the Super Bowl logo.
yeah.
Well, for field hockey, one of my captains, every field hockey rep has it has field hockey sticks on one side and then American flag, and we would always pick the flag side because you can't turn your back on America. Yo, and I swear, out of the 17 games that we played, I think we won the coin toss maybe 15, 16 of them.
Might be because that side's heavier.
Yeah.
Maybe because I don't think that's.
So I'll go whatever. Yeah, whatever tails is. Tails never fails.
Yeah, both, just for the coin toss as a whole, both are plus 100. And then the Chiefs to win the coin toss and win the game is plus 300 for yes, minus 400 for no. Eagles to win the coin toss and win the game is plus 250 for yes, minus 330 for no. And then it's both plus 100 for either team to win the coin toss. Gatorade color. No free ad there. But the color poured on the winning head coach.
Orange.
We have yellow/green at plus 165, orange at plus 300, blue at plus 400, red/pink at plus 450, purples at plus 750, clear/waters at plus 750, and then none is 1200.
It's orange. It's orange.
My gut instinct was orange as well, but
Purple is enticing.
I think if the Eagles win, it will be yellow because every game that I saw Sirianni get a water cooler bath, it was yellow Gatorade.
That's what they want you to think.
They're building up for the
That's-
purple.
yeah,
Kyle. This
they're-
whole
does
time.
does
They're
you
building
know?
it up so they.
And
Is
I-
this not
'cause
just
they know
is
people are
this
gonna
not
do research.
totally like someone could definitely like bet on this and then just like pick the right cooler?
Yeah.
Like
I
The
I
water
saw
boy for them?
yeah, like
I
it's
saw
like
a
I
thing
take that
too.
one. No
That,
particular reason.
Hey, shh, don't get anybody arrested.
Then the position for the MVP, like what position the MVP plays. Quarterbacks minus 650, wide receivers plus 650, tight end is plus 900, running back/fullback is plus 1200, defensive lineman is plus 2500, linebackers plus 2800, corner is plus 6000, safety is plus 7500,
I
and
would
then
take a defensive lineman.
I was gonna say I hope it's a defensive player because that favors the Eagles.
I think the last thing I checked, it's been 8 years since a defensive player's won MVP.
It was Von Miller, right?
Yeah.
I think if you're not gonna bet, like betting the quarterback is dumb. Just if the real trick is look at the individual MVP odds, and if you like, say, the Eagles or the Chiefs, you can actually get better numbers because typically whatever team wins, it's gonna go to the quarterback MVP. So you could get like Mahomes to like plus 130 or like Jalen at plus 140 to win the MVP. Those are better odds than just betting, the Chiefs or Eagles straight up if you want to get like a little twisted with it. But
It's an easy like same game parlay too because you can bet the money line on whoever's winning and the MVP because obviously the winning team is going to have the MVP from it. So
I don't always, when you do same game parlay, do not always let you. They limit what you can bet when you do a same game parlay. Like they limit it to certain. So I don't know if you're able to double up like that. I would pick like defensive like player, like if you're gonna like throw it down on anything, like would make sense because I think the only way I see this game really going that way is like either it's like a great offensive shootout and it's one of the quarterbacks, or like there's turnovers or there's like big like key plays. And the important thing too is like the MVP voting stops in like the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't go to the end of the game. So like if there's just like one big like momentum shift kind of defensive play, like
Brandon Graham.
right, like that could be the moment that wins people a prize. But
I think a running back would be a good one too. If we've spoken about how crucial the running back position is for both teams. If one of those guys from either team gets like multiple touchdowns in the game, before the fourth quarter, that can speak volumes to being the most valuable player to the success of them winning the Super Bowl. And they're not bad odds either. What'd you say it was 1,200?
The
plus
running back is plus 1200.
yeah, I
Those are
mean,
good odds.
I think
Sanders, Ramsey?
you could probably just get Miles Sanders probably at a better number, and
You can get Gainwell for a better.
yeah, but like Gainwell would legitimately have to have like 3 touchdowns and like 150 yards. I think
Miles
like,
Sanders is plus 2200.
yeah,
for
like
MVP.
I think for like a running back to win it, they would have to have a pretty insane. Like Cooper Kupp won it last year, and it was like he had a pretty insane night. And Stafford was just like not very good. Like it has to like It's not good enough that you're good. Like the other like the quarterback especially has to be like below par.
It had to be what I said. Like Hurts would have to have a night of like 200 yards less passing.
Right.
And then the running back has 100 plus yards rushing, etc.
Well, that's crazy that like wide receiver has lower odds than running back when.
You can get A.J. Brown at plus 1,800 too to
But,
be the MVP.
Everything that comes to him comes from the quarterback.
Because
You know
it's
what I
not
mean?
it's
So
not
like-
inconceivable that Jalen Hurts has like 230 passing yards, but 170 of them and 2 touchdowns are to A.J. Brown. In that case, maybe A.J. Brown
when
gets
it's a
the look.
majority of
Right.
Jalen's
If
stats,
one of those receivers has like massive like yards after the catch and making stuff happen in the open field, Hassan Reddick's also plus 3,000 for MVP. So don't hate
he's a
that
man
either.
on a mission,
I have to take out my phone.
I tried to log into my DraftKings sportsbook account and it's been dormant for so long that they deleted my account. I just
Damn.
had money on it. I'm pissed.
I don't think that's legal. I think you should talk
No,
to
it should
someone
call
about
them.
that.
I don't think the account's deleted. I just think that I have to like fill some stuff out because it's been dormant for so long. They locked it.
Yeah.
So like I can get back into it. I just
I was gonna
didn't
say,
wanna
I
go
mean,
through all the trouble. It felt like it
I think you
was
might need to make a
deleted,
phone
but-
call. I think.
I like this prop. It's the jersey number stuff. So the combined jersey numbers of all touchdown scores over under 160.5.
Of
Of like
combined.
all the touchdowns scored. So like the jersey number. I think the highest jersey numbers are Kelsey and Goddard.
Yeah, like in the
Mahomes is
80s.
15 and Hurts is 1, so that's
And then
pretty
all the
close.
receivers.
Devontae is 6. AJ
AJ's 11.
Yeah.
Quez is 16. Kadarius Toney's I think 19.
19. Pacheco's 10.
10.
Sanders is what, 20?
6.
26.
Gainwell's
MVS
14.
is 19.
I think he's
or
11.
Or 11. Yeah.
Austin Scott is on.
35.
So really, you're counting on
Like,
like.
Kelsey is 84, right? And
Kelsey 87 and Goddard's
In that
88.
prop, you would want Kelsey to score. Like,
Yeah, you're definitely
They
counting
did
on.
You're
tight
banking
end
on 2 tight
touchdowns
end
there.
touchdowns there.
Which is not like the Chiefs low key like, especially too like someone like Forston or what's the other one like Gray. I think like those guys are a little sneaky with like the
Yeah.
touchdown. Like you could get a Kelsey and Gray touchdown and like
Don't
you're
forget
there,
with,
but
with both of these defenses, especially the Eagles secondary, they're
could get a
pick 6.
could get a defensive touchdown. That would help.
And then the jersey number of the first touchdown score is over under 11.5.
Under.
And
I'd go-
then
Hammer the under.
I would go over.
over is plus money right now, plus 105.
I think I would go over.
And then jersey number of the last touchdown score is also over under 11.5.
Anyway, how much would the odds change if I tell Boston Scott he's playing for the odds change at all, or but tell him the Giants are this Sunday.
And then I have, let's see.
Can we look into some like weird statistic, like how well the Eagles play against teams in red jerseys compared to like other ones? Like, is that like a thing? Like,
I do like that there's a prop for scoregami. That's a lot of fun. There's a prop if somebody's gonna have if there's gonna be a flea flicker, a kick to hit the post. Well, unfortunately, Cody Parkey's not kicking.
What
in this
about a kick hitting the Skycam wire? Is that
game. And then
on
taking
there?
a punt.
No one's seeing it.
taking 10 years to review it.
Is there a prop for like a first song performed by Rihanna?
That's
or
what I've been
first song
trying to
performed by
find.
Rihanna?
Our guy Stephen McAvoy, host of the Getting the Whole podcast, he tweeted today that he also said it on their show this week. The last, I think, like 8 Super Bowl performances, the artist opened with what they opened with on tour. Now, I don't know how accurate it's going to be for this year, obviously, because it's Rihanna and she hasn't been on tour since, I think, like
Is she
2017.
going back on tour, or is this she just doing those?
A lot of people are speculating like this is like her announcing she's coming back to do music. So he said that he's like betting the bank on the song being "Stay."
what a great song.
Yeah,
Doesn't
but
feel like
I
a
don't think-
Super
I don't
Bowl
know.
song
I don't
now.
think
Agreed.
Yeah, like I think based off of especially like what Eminem and Dr. Dre did, it's either going to be a classic like #1 hit
Yeah,
or something that's like big. I don't.
I think it's gonna be
Umbrella would
Need
come
Me.
towards the end.
And-
I would think it's either Ponder Replay, which is like her first single ever.
yeah.
Or I don't even. That's.
I have a
what don't
weird
know. I
gut
think-
feeling that it's gonna be "Need Me" because it's been so long since Rihanna's performed, and like the beat for that, like it's a good like drop in type of thing. we also on the last episode, me and Pat Pitts did our top 5 of guest appearances.
Like who you think she's gonna bring, or who you want to be there, or who you think she's gonna bring.
Kind of both.
Okay, gotcha.
ASAP Rocky. Probably minus odds.
Well, I know she has a song with Kanye, but I don't think he'll.
Yeah.
I don't think that. That would.
Why not? What? Why not?
Oh, my sweet child. Just Google it. Or
Oh, what happened? I haven't been on Twitter in like a year. What's up?
Bad man.
He's so cool, right?
No.
No? Ah.
No, apparently
That's surprising.
There's 2 Kanyes now. Apparently, there's short Kanye and tall Kanye.
Ah.
Yeah, tall Kanye goes out in public.
I've seen that.
Kanye is-
I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah.
The education system.
I said Calvin Harris is like a lock.
Worrying in this
Calvin
country.
Harris.
Like
Calvin Harris would be amazing. God damn, do I love me some Calvin Harris.
because I approached it from the sentiment of like, because it is Rihanna's first like live performance in 5 years, you're gonna want, if she does have guest appearances and stuff, you don't want them to take away from the performance.
Oh, yeah, because they could do, this is what you came for. That's totally, that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Eminem is back.
And I stayed away from Eminem and Kendrick because they were there last year.
Yeah. I don't know if they're doubling up like that. They're old now.
Hilarious.
But then, like, would it shock anybody if Drake?
I think that would be shocking if Drake was like a guest, because like just his profile is like not guest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he is like.
Yeah.
And then I
star.
also said like wild card because of 4 or 5 seconds. Like last year when Anderson .Paak was like on the drums at the end of the performance, Paul McCartney.
That I could see.
Well, you know what would really
What
get
about
me
DJ
going?
Khaled?
I think DJ
If
Khaled's
they
almost
found
a
if they
lock.
could find a way to get hologram John Lennon, that would be cool. I would watch that, or like bring out like John Lennon as he is now. Like I would tune in for that.
We have breaking news in the NBA. Lakers finalizing trade for D'Angelo Russell, 2 players in 3-team deal involving Russell Westbrook and 2027 first-round pick.
Jared Vanderbilt is not in that trade
I can see right now.
because
Whoa,
that is
Street.
the Sixers' like great hope for the trade deadline is Jared Vanderbilt. He was earlier today. He was involved in that trade.
D'Angelo Russell to
The Lakers.
Russ to.
It is
Brooklyn,
going
or
to
the other-
be.
the other of the 3 teams.
Let's see.
Russ is supposed to be going, I think, was supposed to be going, I think, to the Jazz originally because Mike Conley was involved in the trade. That was the like
Yeah,
original.
So the Jazz have a. Blah, blah,
I
blah.
hand it to Russell Westbrook. He's committed to his brand of never passing. Respect that.
So let me go to Twitter. Yeah, NBA trade deadline tomorrow.
Yeah,
too.
the Lakers are getting D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt. Trade including Mike Conley and picks to Timberwolves and Russell Westbrook and a lightly protected 2027 LA first-round pick to Jazz. What?
Wow.
That's all they had to give up for that?
That's crazy.
A little tight about that, to be honest. But really wanted Jared Vanderbilt.
Stock is low, huh?
Yes.
It has been for.
The tape's out there.
I mean,
7
I haven't
years.
really been watching the NBA season this year, so I don't.
Really wanted Jared Vanderbilt on the Sixers, so that's a
Anyone else
bummer.
you want at this point?
Death. I don't know. The sweet release.
Did say he was satisfied with football earlier. Coincides with that.
Yeah.
Listen, there's not much that you want, given the status of Liverpool right now. Anything for another team.
Is this
Listen,
what we're
I'm the
fucking
same
doing?
way.
I mean, Jesus Christ.
I'm the same way. Like any of my other teams, I just want a little bit of success from because it's better than
I don't know,
supporting
man.
AC Milan right now. So
They won everything, so.
Homie
I'm
just
cool with
said
it.
He wanted death, and you were like, yeah, your team sucks.
Yeah, thanks for building me up.
I can't talk, dude. Really.
That's cool.
Oh, that's
They're
hilarious.
You know what I found interesting though? I was just like randomly thinking because Devontae Smith is like maybe the most under the radar Heisman winner ever, despite the fact that he was the first wide receiver in like 30 years to win the award. I looked up, and then you could get even deeper with like how many people have won the Heisman and a national championship. There's only I think 5.
3 that have done. Devontae would be the 4th if
I thought
the
there was
Eagles win.
5.
That won a national championship, Heisman, and a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I thought there was either 4 or 5, depending if you still count Reggie Bush as a Heisman winner, which I do, and it's insane that people don't. But just
He probably
Heisman
would have been the 5th.
Heisman Trophy winners who have won Super Bowls too. There's only 9 so he could be the 10th, which would be amazing. And like a lot of them are like old school guys. Like some of them, frankly, I've never heard of. Like I don't know Packers running back Paul Hornig,
Nope.
Mike Garrett from 1970. Like not names I'm like super familiar with. So that'd be cool. Like if he has that ability to get into like that stratosphere, because it's just not a very common achievement.
Yeah, I do feel like people like forget that he won a Heisman
Won a national championship in the game that Jalen Hurts was benched in.
with one of like the best like wide receiver cores of college football history.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you say that because he did that and everyone talked about that core, how good he was, and then closer to like draft time, it just flipped and everyone was like, he's too skinny. He's
Yeah,
gonna suck.
all of his teammates were the ones that were getting higher draft stock than him.
Yeah, and it's like this guy just won a Heisman and played for one of the best college programs to ever exist, and with a loaded room as well. And then we're just gonna say no, and then he goes to the NFL, gets 900 plus yards his rookie year, has over 1,000 his second year. I mean, he's proved everyone wrong at this point. Hopefully, he's proven wrong this Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's wild. I did also see a tip for anybody who's trying to make work schedule things. If there were to be a function going down post Super Bowl in the city of Philadelphia, Thursday is the day for
Good to know.
lots of.
So only 4 players in history have won a Heisman, a national championship, and a Super Bowl. There's Marcus Allen, who played at USC and the Raiders, Reggie Bush, USC and the Saints, Tony Dorsett for Pittsburgh and Cowboys, Charles Woodson for Michigan and Green Bay.
See, those
So he
names
could
I
be.
actually know.
So he.
Yeah, I
could be
think the
fifth.
list I saw had everything except Reggie Bush.
Yeah, which is bullshit.
Yeah,
Like, because what's funny too is like I don't know, whatever you want to call it, like the violation that he committed. And I was like totally fine.
Yeah.
Like no one cares anymore that like whatever you do, like a commercial where you get some extra money.
bought his mom a house. Big deal.
So dumb.
Speaking of, work, shout out to anybody whose work is either giving them the day off or a delayed opening for the Super Bowl, like following that day on Monday. I got an email
Oh, no.
saying that if I decide to take off the 13th, I need to supply a doctor's note no later than the 17th.
I know a doctor.
So,
Dr. Mantis Toboggan.
I remember you named your pro and pro clubs that for a while.
That's a rough email to get there.
Yeah, I got it
That's
today.
crazy.
This afternoon. I'm like, no, that means that my district isn't giving us a late opening.
The second we won the
Ah.
last game, I logged on to my portal thing and I took off and like literally
I should have done that.
It filled up. So I'm off that Monday because whether they win or lose, I'll need the day off.
I used so many sick days last month. Like I just can't.
I just don't get how it's not a holiday yet.
I kind of like working the next day after something like that because like it's probably your best day of work. Like you might be tired for it, but it's like everyone who like you see is also like usually like everyone's tired, especially the day after Super Bowl.
I
it's the most
compared it. It's like
unproductive
New Year's
day.
Day 2.0.
It honestly is because everyone is out like drinking and like eating like crappy food. Like everyone feels like garbage the
I'm gonna
next
be
day.
in the city. There's no way I'm getting home at a normal time.
I mean, you might as well just not sleep, buddy. You might as well just
You
pack
might want to go live on Instagram
Yeah,
again, like
I'm
the
not-
old days.
pack a lip of Dubby and just
Let's just drive to school.
just throw one in a pouch and just hang out.
W.GG, use code underground, 10% off. Yeah, you might as well go live on Instagram like the old school Top Pins days if you're in the city.
You might get stuck and not actually be able to get home.
I remember when I left Philly, when I got off the streets. In 20
That's really
That's
really inspiring, dude. Good for you, man. You really
got off the streets.
you got clean and everything. Good for you, man. That's not easy. That's awesome.
No, like once I got off like Broad Street in 2018, I tried to get on a train to get back like into Jersey, and in like the Camden part of Patco, people were like dancing on the tracks the whole time, and they couldn't run the trains for like 2 hours. I took a 2-hour nap on the train. I woke up, we were still in Philly. I was like, I don't think I got back into my car till 5 a.m. Yeah, so if I'm going into the city, I'm probably just gonna
Keep your work clothes in the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just take more W, dude.
Can we get score predictions and
I'm surprised the line has stayed what it's at too.
I think it's a very close game. Not very often that the Super Bowl is like within 2 points like this. It's only happened like a few times in the last like 10, 15 years, but it's hard. I mean, it's a really hard game I think to call because the Eagles are such a great team, but you know the Chiefs are also very good. And whenever you have like the quarterback advantage like they have, and that's no shade to Jalen Hurts, it's just like Patrick Mahomes is like a league.
He's got
of
the
his own.
experience too.
I mean, yeah, like it's just it's a very hard man to bet against. I am gonna say 31-28 Eagles. That is my feeling. I think this is just a very close game. I would be surprised if it's a.
Damn it.
I'll say 31-27 then. I'll give you. You can be
No, we can
31-20.
have the
No,
same
no,
thing.
no.
It's
You
okay.
take it. You take it. No, I want you to. No, I want you to have it. No, I want you to have it.
34-31. That's what
Say
I
it
thought in
again?
my head. 34-31.
Oh, okay.
I was
I
gonna
thought you
say-
said 34-21. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, I was gonna say 34-28, but then I was like, nah, it has to be like 3 points. But then I thought that would be too high, so I brought both team totals down 3 to what you said. But I'll stick with 34-30.
Your mind is amazing. I love it.
I'm gonna say 28-23 Eagles.
29-27 Eagles. I think Serrano goes for 2 points at one point.
Could see that.
Yeah, I
I
could
could definitely see
definitely
that.
see that.
He's a mad lad with the going on 4th down and 2-point conversions, so I don't think he'll back down.
Hey, let's not forget that Andy Reid loves himself a trick play, looking like the Chiefs played Ring Around the Rosie at one point.
That's
of the
true.
season
That's
and
why I
scored a
have it only 2
touchdown off
points
it.
apart.
Listen, I wouldn't be surprised that if the Chiefs are in like within 5 yards, they do a trick play where Pacheco throws the ball. I mean, he's got experience playing. quarterback.
Well, there's some props you
Yeah,
can
there
do.
is.
I think a quarterback catching a touchdown is plus 3,000.
I want Pacheco throwing a touchdown.
And then it's any player, any non QB to have 1+ pass touchdown is plus 2,200. So if you really believe that, Dom, you could call DraftKings, get your account back.
I'm gonna
And
put like $200 on that.
okay, well that's wildly
No wonder they locked your
irresponsible.
account.
Like you just, I don't know how to explain to you that you just went from as zero as you could possibly be, where your account is locked. That is beyond zero. That your battery is dead. To 200. This is an insane jump you just did. Maybe don't.
Now I
Maybe
think-
keep your account
I
locked.
think I know why people see why I was in jail last Hopkins episode.
Maybe just keep the account locked. I don't know.
This is why I don't bet.
Call your future wife before you make a business decision like that. That's my advice to you.
Babe, I'm trying to pay for a wedding all
I'm
tonight.
just-
Let's
so,
go.
like-
I got us.
Here's the way to be a responsible bettor. If your significant other asks you like what happened, like why you're in like a bad mood, and you're like uncomfortable with telling them the amount of money that you lost on a bet, you've bet too much. You've gone too high. If you just say $20, they're like, it's whatever. If you lose $20, it's $20. 200?
Listen,
That's a different conversation.
Now, no free ads, but DraftKings has something that I feel kind of comfortable about. $200 on first quarter yards. Miles Sanders and Isaiah Pacheco 10+ rush yards each.
That feels like such an easy bet that is just gonna go wrong for you. That is such a trap. That is such a trap. Because you know what's gonna happen? They're gonna bust for like 13, 14 yards, and then someone's gonna get like stuffed on like a 3-yard run or
both of
something.
them have
Probably
to
gets
get
called back.
Yeah,
more than
like
10?
Both have 10+ yards each in the first quarter.
Both though, not just one.
Yeah.
This will be the one game these Boston's
Don't like it.
first quarter.
Because you could
Yeah, that's what it is.
theoretically
Yeah,
too though, like
exactly.
each team could only have one possession in the first quarter. Like these teams are, you could see like a 6-7 minute drive out of both of them, and like you
Yeah,
just
and then
don't get the
and
ball.
The starter's the one getting stifled, so it's either the second or third running back that's getting all the yards.
Would not. But Dom, you could put 200 on that.
Pacheco touchdown. Pacheco passing touchdown.
Well, you get any non-quarterback passing touchdowns. You know, you get covered.
Pacheco passing touchdown to Travis Kelce.
Sure, that's crazy.
That's probably crazy.
You should bet.
Crazy
Yeah,
odds.
dude, you should bet $200 on that.
Feeling lucky.
Listen, my mind is completely numb to the losses of betting. I'm a habitual FIFA point buyer. And
Dom,
bet
this
over-
is red flag central. Like I'm like actually worried now. I'm like,
No, this is why I said, I don't bet on sports.
Well, you know what? I think that's a really healthy thing, and I want to discourage you actually from reactivating your account.
Like a couple years ago when I'm betting like 150 on Brescia winning a single Serie A game.
What the fuck is going on?
DraftKings, let's keep the account locked.
I hit on that bet too. So.
Oh my god.
Throw away the Dom file.
Nobody take my bet advice, please.
Please gamble responsibly.
Jesus Lord, Dom.
What is it? 1-800-GAMBLER?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we need to preface this conversation with that. If you live in New York, it's 1-800-HOPE-NY.
God, those are the
1-800-GAMBLER everywhere else except like Arizona.
my least favorite ad reads on podcasts is the 3.5 minutes of listing all the separate gambling hotlines. Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Stop it. Get some help.
I mean, I think this Super Bowl has the potential too to be the best one, like as a game wise, since '52.
Yeah, I think we've been actually pretty lucky in that the last few Super Bowls have been entertaining and like close games. Like I mean, in like the last 10 years, I think the only one that's really sucks was that Seahawks Broncos one because it was just over so fast.
And then
Just
Bucks Chiefs ended up
That
getting
Bucks
out of
Chiefs,
hand
yeah,
towards
like,
the end.
but it was at least cool because you had like Brady winning again,
Yeah.
and you got to kind of like soak in that moment. But yeah, for the most part, we've had like at least they've been like watchable games, which has not always been the case. So
Yeah. Commercials kind of suck, though, I think, as we get older. That's just me, or?
I think the quality has kind of died. Like the overall, like, because we used to have an abundance of really good commercials, but maybe that was also because we were kids and we were like looking
I
forward
feel like they
to
also wouldn't get leaked. Now they also get like leaked.
that is the one annoying thing is it's like
They do
you can
trailers
watch
for the
all of them on
commercials.
YouTube right now. Like, and that's kind of a bummer. Like I
Like,
still
a lot of
find
those
joy,
companies now
you know.
release them like low key, like on social media, so they're not
Yeah.
on like national television, so not everybody sees them. But like I remember last year seeing a couple that were like on Twitter, and then
Mhm.
they're supposed to be the spotlight commercial during the Super Bowl, and I'm like, I've seen this like 20
They
times
already
already.
teased the one. I was watching
Yeah.
something the other day with Steve Martin and Ben Stiller or something, and I 112% will bet that they're obviously in the same or different commercial or Super Bowl, and like that just to me is like no fun. But hopefully I'm wrong.
Is there a prop bet on the Budweiser commercial making you cry?
I think that is always
Negative a million,
Yeah.
yes.
those things are geared.
You know the answer to that one.
The real question is when you see the Jesus commercial, whether
Oh,
or not
yeah.
you convert immediately to Christianity. That is like the big question I think
I
for
run
me.
right to the church. After
Yeah,
this.
like right away.
Yeah.
Or last year if you invested in crypto for one of the 700,000 crypto commercials. This year if it's like there's like if I had $1 billion, I would run an ad like saying like, did you lose all your money on crypto? Like you can call like this is like my better help, but for like people who lost.
It's like
I lost all your mesothelioma.
Camp
like, ad
Lejeune
read.
commercials.
Yeah. Like, hey, remember last year when Matt Damon sold you a fucking Ponzi scheme? Like,
Remember when we had our 1997 Windows screensaver of a QR
remember when you had
code?
to explain to your dad what cryptocurrency was? Like, you're entitled to compensation for that.
Did you tell someone fortune favored the bold?
Did you at any point in the last year tweet "Have fun staying poor" to someone explaining to you that investing in a picture of a dog for $12,000 was a bad idea?
Did you change your Twitter profile picture to a hexagon?
Did you happen to have what was called a Forex friend during COVID?
Well, let's not get crazy on Forex now, because I mean, guys, you can make a lot of money doing it. Some guy hit me up on Instagram. You know, you can turn $400 into $80,000 next month.
I heard that I could drive a BMW by selling Vima.
I remember that. I remember that guy telling a room full of college students that college is dumb and there's no point in going to. It's like, well, you're really reading the room. You're reading the room here, Chief.
Someone tried calling me. Oh, that was a weird time.
No, it was totally. Oh, no, hold on, guys. It was totally legit. Because remember, don't forget that they had the Vima Verve Lounge at the Phoenix Sun Arena. That's how you knew that it was legit, because they had at a bar that you could go to in Phoenix. It's like, okay, so you got it. Let me explain it again. You just have to spend $500. If you get 3 people to join, you get the $500 back. But they give you the $500. Well, they give you $200. You give me $300 of their $200. That money goes up. But it's not a pyramid scheme.
It's like you have to buy product to get yourself off the ground at first, but once you get people like to also sign up and they start selling product, then you have to do less and less work.
It's a total can't lose situation. You just got to find.
Next thing you know, once you get like 25 people to sign up, they get 25 people to sign up, and they get 25 people to sign up, you're gonna be driving a Mercedes.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy is like we're gonna give you a lease for a BMW. I mean, you have to pay like the $75,000 amount on it, but like, that's all yours. So if you want that, that's for you. We did that for you.
Sad time. Sad time.
Man.
God, preying on the young impressionable minds of high school kids just trying to make a buck. That's crazy.
Oh, well, yeah.
And now you have Monat and Avon.
Be careful now.
Those are the big ones.
Let me tell you.
Someone's gonna show up at my doorstep.
Be
They're
careful
not selling
now.
beauty products.
Be careful. The Monat crew is everywhere. They are.
Roll deep.
It's where you when you least expect it.
Herbalife.
Oh Christ! All of it. Listen, there's no shame in wanting some extra money. Just get a job. Just get a second job. If you really want the extra like $200-300 a week, get a second job. Nobody's gonna buy your saran wrap you put in your stomach to get a 6-pack, and your pills that just give people diarrhea to lose 10 pounds in a week. Like, just there's no shame in it. Just pick up an extra job somewhere.
Everybody wants to be an influencer nowadays.
Now we're starting to sound like old men, which I think is.
I digress.
The Super Bowl commercials suck. Everybody wants to be like Logan Paul. My son, he invested all of my 401k into cryptocurrency because Matt Damon told him it was cool. $300,000. It took me 42 years to save that, and it's gone. I got a divorce because of Matt Damon. That's what we sound like. We're very close to sounding like that.
Including the New York accent.
I don't know what that was. That was ambiguous old man yelling. If it sounded like New York, then that's what it
Seems
was.
legit to me.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I also saw a cool stat. The last 5 Super Bowls have had at least one player from South Jersey on the team.
Really?
Eagles in 2018, Corey Clement.
Yeah.
2019, Jamil Demby. Nobody in 2020 as far as I could see. Last year was Jamil, and then this year is Isaiah Pacheco. There's another player on the Chiefs, and then Hassan Reddick.
Isn't Dallas Goedert from New Jersey? Am I crazy?
He's from Texas.
I think he's just named Dallas. I think
don't
that's.
think he's from.
I don't know that
I don't know
that's.
where he's
I could have sworn Dallas Goedert was from.
I hope
The
he's from
tri-state
Texas.
area.
That'll make it a little less
No, he has
weird.
big hands.
You keep saying that. I don't.
Yeah, this is,
I think that's the second time you've said that, and I let it slip the first time. Now I got to ask.
Dallas.
I remember in like during his draft year, during the combine, that was something that they spoke about him all the time. They were
Okay.
just like, "Guy's got really big hands."
I'm glad it was someone else made that observation. It wasn't like you were just looking at him. He has fucking big hands.
Dallas Goedert's from Aberdeen, South Dakota.
Oh shit! Jesus
I
Christ!
was gonna say there is an Aberdeen in New Jersey.
we were very wrong.
God, imagine being from South Dakota.
If you look at it, yeah, it looks like a South Dakota boy.
I don't know.
We'll take South
I could.
Dakota
I
over
have
for
seen
any
guys like him in the Bunawawa like all the time. Like I think like
day. Yeah.
that dude. That dude is lifted F-150 with fucking camo duck on the back if I've ever seen it.
Yeah,
No shade. No shade. I'm just saying.
That's not a Millville white guy. That's a Buna white guy.
That is a Buna white guy.
Oh my God.
Millville white guy is like repairing your roof. Buna white guy is like working in some sort of. He's like a crane operator or something. Like,
Forklift certified.
Ooh.
hey man, that's
Watch
It's important.
Watch your girl.
no seriously. Watch your girl. The forklift is coming through. This is really dangerous. She should have a safety vest on. Where's her helmet?
OSHA violation.
This is not funny. I've had 297 days since our last accident here. Take this very seriously.
We want to keep the streak going.
We get a monthly bonus based on safety. Don't ruin this for us. I have a mortgage.
Oh man, it's good to have everybody back.
Nice.
We will have the official polls and everything for the Underground Sports Philadelphia Hall of Fame on social media once Twitter's not broken, which I think it's back, because at 5 o'clock it was like over 10,000 reports of Twitter outages. We were, just trying to push our brands out there, but we'll have the official polls out this week. Everybody enjoy the big game. Stack up on Kenny's, because they just announced this week, or today, I think, in Eastern Pennsylvania, Whole Foods now has Kenwood beer. So stock up for the big game with Kenwood beer at your local Whole Foods if you're in Philly, and use the Kenny tracker to see who's got it on tap in the Philadelphia area. 21 or older, drink responsibly, enjoy the big game. Any final thoughts, guys?
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. This has been the anniversary special of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Big thank you to our sponsors, Main Auto LLC, Security 21 Security Systems, Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated, the Dental Wellness Center of Vineland, our merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. Use code Underground for 10% off. Shout out to the city of Vineland as well. But get your merch. Follow us at Underground PHI, Twitter, Instagram. Follow us on all the socials and everything. Subscribe to the podcast feed. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. And we'll be back, hopefully, next episode talking about another Eagles Super Bowl win.
Grease the poles.
Grease them up.
Dallas Goddard's massive hands.
What? What'd you say?
With Dallas Goddard's massive hands.
This has been episode number 506 of Underground Sports Philadelphia. For Dylan, for Dom, for Matt, I'm KB. Go Birds, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.